Hey everyone, I'm Tassinix, and welcome to Plotting and Scheming, covering Season 60 3 vs 3 Grand Arena Championship Week 1. I am joined by most of the regular cast here. We do have Dagger, TJ, and Fatal, but Sasha Aisha had a schedule conflict. However, he was kind enough to send us some notes about his one real good match this week, and, we'll get to that. But anyway, about my week, I went 2-1. The technique that I used, and I think you guys will appreciate the masterful execution of strategy, is that I had my round 1 versus Dr. Payton, real opponent, lost the round, by less than a drop, but enough that it mattered. And then I had 2 Erodiums for the rest of the week, thereby securing a 2-1 week. How about you, Dagger? Did you have a similar or better week? Something tells me we can come back to Dagger.
Week was a mixed. No. My week was a mixed bag. I didn't put a whole lot of effort into the game, and due to a sequence of events, I did not join GAC. So, yeah, I'm mostly here to talk about what these gentlemen are going to talk about. Oh, and I don't know who Paul is, but I'm required to hate him. So anybody with daughters will understand.
Fuck Paul.
I don't know what's going on. Yeah, thank you, TJ. You get it. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I do. I got your back. I got your back. Fuck Paul.
I would do the whoosh motion, but I might knock the hat off my head, so I'm not going to do that.
Right. But you have extreme prejudice against all people named Paul.
Man.
Tough I think this very specific Paul, but I
tough day for Pauls. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Very good. Well, TJ, how about you? How was your week?
I do. I laugh because it's like I talked about it with you, Tess. Like I traveled for work and everything else. Mm-hmm. So my round 1 was I put my attack in. I probably could have played and I probably could have done something, but I literally didn't put on. I pulled a dagger, not in the sense I didn't join. There was just no time to go and scout and do all the work or anything like that. So my round 1, round 2, and round 3, no data crowns on. It was literally left from last season and all the groups. So, yep, I get to say I pulled it. I did go 1 and 2, though, and I did the Tassinix strategy. 1 attack on round 1, tried some stuff to see what was going to happen on round 2 because it was a pretty good setup for me just to try, knowing I wasn't going to have time because I was traveling home that day. And then round 3 had a Erodium, so I got a free Sunday / Monday. It was nice. But other than that, yeah, no good intel other than the stuff I got to try and just to see, like, things I know we'll talk about later.
All right. Dig it. Fatal, how about you? How'd the week go?
2-1, and probably should have been a 3-0, but Revive Leia just ate up a bunch of time in a hour stream. Honestly, with how I think this season is pretty good, pretty juicy, pretty healthy. But I feel like one litmus sign of that is, can I do everything within an hour? And like pretty consistently, the answer was no. So I should probably start streaming for longer. But 2-1, just a really, really juicy week.
I just want to second something real quick. Go watch Fatal streams. I want to stress this. Just because, in my opinion, it's like, not to be a dick, but you're stretching what you can and can't do. And I'm not talking the realm of like your Night Sisters Fatal. That goes without saying. Some of the stuff you were doing was real cool. So it's not to be, biased or anything like that. But I got to catch a couple of them and I was like, oh man, that's a cool idea. Seeing the things you were just kind of just throwing out to see what's going to come back and it working out, it was awesome.
All right. Well, yeah. And we will be sure to give a proper plug to Fatal when we're wrapping up, as always. But let's go ahead and get into the meta-analysis, guys. First topic, Balin's Skull. So, good counters kind of revealed themselves to be Slacker, Seer Malicos Maul, Riva. I guess I have the list up here. I've heard of the Gungans being used, and you can see here that on 53 attempts, this is sorted for Division 1... minimum relic of, I don't know why it says 6, it should be 7, but that's okay. And then I filtered on just the Balin level 9. So, this could be any 3/6. But yeah, looks like bad news for Gungans. Wow, so just Seer Malicos doesn't look like it's enough. Seer Malicos Star Killer. Okay. Leia, okay, yep. Bane, I did see somebody do Bane. Yep, that makes sense. All right, Jabba. But Jabba's actually been nice on defense. I'm sure we'll end up talking about that. Wow, look at this. The banners are poor, but 100% on Lord Vader. That's interesting. Anyways, guys, any other counters that you found were interesting or novel to fighting Balin in week 1? I know folks have mixed opinions on how effective this team is as a defense. I think it's good as a fork, but it's nowhere near the absolute roadblock that, Great Mothers is right now with her Kron. But what say you guys?
I posted him on defense with pretty minimal expectations, more so saying, I'm not expecting you to get holds, I'm just expecting you to look scary. And so he sat bottom front, and he got one shot, and then I looked at my match history, and they overspent. To me, the big story of this week, and this is still a developing story, is that first match that I streamed is the one that I lost. And it was, the energy was very fucking weird because it was equal parts dick around and also find some shit. And so I had completely forgotten that they had an anti-fear clause, and I just jammed Malgus in because of the whole premise of, well, I have 80% crit avoid.
I think I was
so
watching that at work, and I was sitting there doing work, and I was like, ooh, in real life.
Well, and then I went into match. I very quickly realized the Balin team just never gets to take a turn. And so right now, I haven't, I don't even think I've had a chance to run it back since. I'm in the 200, so I'm kind of at the rank where fighting the newest, latest is not a guarantee.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think Balin versus... Malgus versus Balin is actually solvable. That, I guess your banners will be shit because everyone's sitting at 1 health.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think you bring Sith Assassin or Sith Empire Trooper, attack Merrick first, kill Merrick first, and then work down Balin. I think it definitely has potential. I'm not out here advocating you should try it, but it's going to be a point of curiosity for me.
All right, I can see it.
I think a lot of people are overkilling it. The people who I've talked to generally just Bane, Riva, just move on. That being said, I do wonder how the lack of reactivity will translate into 5v5, because it does seem like it's open to a lot of counters. And the Datacron, I'm not saying it's not great, but the BKM Cron was so prohibitive when it came out that the reactivity on defense was kind of diminished a little bit just because of the power of the level 9.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder going forward for, we have another 3v3 after this next week. I wonder what we'll find, because this level 9 does not seem to hide the lack of reactivity as well. And I think Fatal's saying, I think there is a cheaper answer if people are willing to look for it and try it.
Okay. What kind of makes you curious to try? I know you're really not going to have a lot of real opportunity for it, but what would you be game to check out?
Depending on how good your Kron is, possibly CLS Han Chewie. That probably is just dead on arrival, though, for what it's worth. But it is something the burst damage might be able to take out Merrick off the rip, depending on what you're fighting against, and obviously, like I said, Kron dependent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Malgus one's super interesting. I hadn't thought about that. I was thinking more Starkiller, just like Xeris, Starkiller Xeris +1 with his Kron.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even Afra to a degree. I don't know how that matches up in 3v3. Anyway, just things like that. I think that there are some Terminator teams that have some play there.
I can see it for sure.
Wasn't it you, Fatal, who did Starkiller?
But I might have tried it in the last match, but
I think that's what it was. But I think you came back and clutched it. It may not be in you, but it's I watched one of the fights from one of the streamers, and I watched the Starkiller. No, I think it was you. It looks gross. It was you to start, and it looks gross, but you easily came back and rolled it back up with Starkiller. Now, it could have been Datacron, it could have been anything else, but it definitely was interesting to see where it's like, ooh, that looks bad. And then quickly you made it
There it
unbad.
Yeah, so would have been a 52 on the first
I won
go.
with Mara dead. The opponent had 156% offense on their Kron, very good player.
Right.
And my Starkiller squad like had no real. I mean, I had a Ufu 2-turn starting immunity, so like I would have to review their kits. I don't know if like Balin Opener is an AoE Dispel or something, but the 2-turn DI might have been useful.
It was just cool. It was cool getting to watch your fight and mechanics and even for you going through and diagnosing the fight as you're going, right, it still felt pretty well in control, minus having, obviously, Mary J die. Watching you mechanically go through the fight, it felt pretty fluid, and once you were back in control of it, that was it. They just fell over. But I'd also say I was watching your Star Killer basically almost one-hit knockout people as it was starting to hit. Your power started, you could really see like modding was just coming into play.
Fair.
Completely not relevant to 3v3, but I am curious to how Aiden stacks up versus this team in fives. I don't mean to pivot the conversation. Just
No, there's attacking out of turn in Balin's team, so I mean, I can see there being some penalties.
Also with Death Trooper, if you can get somebody dead off the rip, especially if people default to Hondo. Anyway, sorry, that's more of a conversation for a different time. Sorry, my brain's just warring with
that's
5v5.
okay. I put you down that road. I'll take that consequence. That's fine.
But, yeah, because I was just thinking about would Aiden handle it in threes. I'm like, not enough punch. But anyway, sorry.
No, that's all right. Well, I guess my only other question here on Balin is week 2, are you guys thinking offensive application or still on defense? For me, I'm still thinking on defense because, again, I think his value is as a fork. So I'm going to hopefully see in my opponents them attempting a couple of different counters against Balin last week and then try and set up a fork for that.
I think the question comes out to be if you're going to say if you're really going to try to swap it to offense and fighting the team, yeah, it goes for the durability, but it just feels slow. And I get that the whole idea is that the fight's going to go on and you have your team built and all that, but fighting it and all that, I had it for offense because, again, I didn't change anything, but I really couldn't think, and I was a fan of trying to, because it's Balin and everything, where I would actually want to use him to where it would be just an effective lockdown. So, I mean, I haven't gone through the piece of that. When I fought the one team that I went up against, and it was, like I said, it was relevant. It had good offense for the person I fought. I just took SLK. I didn't have time to think about it. I just wanted to see how it was going to work. So I did SLK with the sisters just to see what it was going to do. And it worked. I punched through, but everybody was dead besides SLK. So the damage was there. Relatively okay offense on the Kron itself. But when I had an offense and I was looking, it's like, what do I even test this on? What do I want to push the boundaries? And it feels like I don't know if anybody thinks anything different, but even on a fast one, it just feels very meh.
Okay, I can feel that too. Yeah, I mean, I tried it offensively in a couple spots, not in Grand Arena, but just trying to feel for the team, and it did feel clunky, but there's quite a bit being left on the table by not being in Grand Arena, so I'm not trying to sit here and act like I've given it a fair shake. You figure if you're seeing an opponent that's reliably keeping JMK on defense, something like that, maybe you would consider. Maybe that's a temptation.
Sure.
But otherwise, yeah.
Not that I'm going to get a ton of like reasonable testing, but I do plan to save it for offense just to get a feel for the mechanics.
I think you have the luxury, which is nice.
And I also think you'll get more out of it if you're, game to do the same when we do get back to fives. But yeah, I don't know, because the core three seem pretty locked here in threes. Although I think I did see you, Fatal, put Malikos in the mix instead of Marok. Did you like that? How did you feel about that concentration?
In hindsight, it was a bad call just because I kind of underestimated how willing people would be to just overkill him on site. And so, in that sense, I basically just donated Malicos for free instead of Merrick being there instead. I think if you're trying to take the team seriously and the wind starts blowing towards cheaper counters existing, then maybe Malicos becomes interesting. But for the time being, I yanked him back to LV by the end of the week.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't feel great about LV and Malicos either, but at the very least, you get the opportunity to make Bo-Katan owners go gambling with their lives, and at least, I mean, my whole theory of crafting style is no free rides and just the general air of hostility. And LV Malicos, even though it doesn't really trade well 2/3 of the time, 1/3 of the time, I can achieve that, so I'm okay with that for now.
Fair. Okay, well, next topic here are fleets. Your preferred solutions to the Executor punishing one fleet, whichever composition you fought, and if you did see it, alongside Leviathan on defense. Now, I did have this in round 1, and I did stick... Hold on, I did stick with something that I think would be tried and true, so... Went with Profundity with Mark 6 from Leviathan here against his Leviathan. And then, yeah, there absolutely no need for Mark 6 in your Leviathan versus Executor.
That's cool to see.
Yeah, you can see that the banners for Profundity are suspect. Yeah. But also my first time doing it, so...
I was gonna say, it looks like possibly a bad luck run. I've been doing it a lot in the arena just to get used to it because it's obviously, in my opinion, when you've got it worked out, regardless of relic level and everything else, it's a pretty consistent counter. Mm-hmm. And my arena, obviously, the climb is painful, so it's like, I'll just take this because it works. It looks like.
Would you say it is?
I have been able to do it every single time. Now that I've got it worked down, I haven't had a problem. As long as you follow the steps correctly. But I've go ahead.
No, are we thinking like 90% plus, maybe a little bit less?
I could go with a 90. I think a 90. I had one where I screwed up, right? But it's like each time I've done it, worst case, the only one that's dead is the tank, which is cool, or tank and Mark 6. But my 2 are left alive. So that's one piece. That's why I said when I look at yours and I see. That you've had Outrider dead as well. It's like, oh, that's probably just a bad run. But if you're telling me it's your first time, it makes sense.
How do you protect your Outrider when they isolate your tank?
You honestly don't need to because they're not doing a lot of calls in, and they're spreading. That's where I go with. There's a potential, but honestly, by the way I've been doing it and following it. You don't really need to because you're following the correct steps, and it's been consistent even when they do it. The part where you can get lucky is that when Spy comes in, he'll also go stun your tank, and that's like one of your best ones. 9 times out of 10, they're stunning my Outrider.
You mean Sunfac?
What? No.
You said Spy.
Oh, Spy. I'm sorry, I meant Sass. Sorry, I don't know why I said Spy.
Oh. So when
the first comes in, that's my fault.
Here, we can take a look at how
in,
my fight went there, and we can see if I just got exceptionally unlucky. I got it pulled up here.
I wouldn't call it, like I said, exception. Like I said, my Mark 6 and my tank are usually dead.
Mm-hmm. No,
but see, that's
absolutely no idea what I'm doing. So I feel like
right now, like step 1, not mass assist.
Yeah,
step
right.
Step 1 is basic to Outrider.
Yeah,
Outrider comes in, you do a third.
The tenacity up first makes sense.
Yeah, that was actually really good.
So
you had
made
a really
life
good
hard
opener.
on myself. All for it.
Well, yeah, but you also have really good RNG because all of those assists you got. That was a good thing.
Yeah, because you wouldn't have had days on your Falcon had you led with basic to Outrider.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd have been able to basic there with Falcon.
Yep, that's good.
Even
and
this happens. Protection disruption.
Mm-hmm. This happens.
So this is the thing. Like, you will always have your Y-Wing isolated before Fury uses the mass assist ability. So they could.
So you also had a good run in that you have that there. Normally, I'm nowhere near being able to get this. So in my opinion, you're having really good luck.
Yeah, I mean, I did feel lucky to one-shot it, even on the video. Trust me.
It's where you're super lucky. If you look, SAS came in and stunned your tank. This is what I was talking about. Like when you want to talk about a run, you had a phenomenal run because those are all good things.
Yeah, and with a phenomenal run, he still lost Outrider.
Yeah,
that's what I want to see here because I think that's coming up momentarily here. We're about to get that mass assist out of Fury.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there went Mark 6 anyway.
That happens every single time. You'll play the fight out and then that's happening. But normally what happens is Dagger's still alive. Or not Dagger. Yeah, Dagger's still alive and you're not having that. You already have Dagger dead. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is like a phenomenal little setup. All of your assists are happening. You're just having good times. This is not the normal fight.
Boom. There. Yeah. So that's what got me. The Mark 6 coming in, just brapping it.
I honestly don't get to the point where the Mark 6s come in.
Well, for the most part. I can accept that because I did,
It might have had to do with your opening basic that you didn't do. That might have been the gap.
Yeah.
I would probably say that.
Basic.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would say that's
like
fair.
I said, I watched your fight and I'm like, man, these are all the things I want to happen. I have the other side of things.
I dig it.
Yeah, this looks smooth enough where I might start trying this in arena just to get some practice at it.
I guarantee you will thank yourself, Dagger. When you do
it. Yeah, my alternative is one-shotting Leviathan and then just two-shotting Executor on purpose.
It is just mind-numbing how bad it is in arena, right? When you're doing your climbs, it's like, because I get the Dagger, I get our luck on ships. I never get to go first. And if you do, you like basically take a picture and call your mother because something's going on and you've won the lottery. I don't ever get that, so I got tired of dealing with it. So it's either Executor.
I remember a few months ago I fought triple meta on defense and I one-shot all of them and I did like a ridiculous happy dance. Yeah. And I came on here triumphant.
Yeah, realistically that's how I climb now. I don't even mess with it. Or if it's a relic 8 or below Dagger, I'll take the Executor setup because it's got a really good success rate and it's pretty fast.
But regardless,
I can confidently say I can confidently say that Dagger has nothing below R9.
I can confidently say that too. But like I said, Tash, yours is minute differences. You also have really good luck, but the concept or the one shot is still the same, even with you making some differences.
I can absolutely fess to the bad opening move. But what about you guys though? Did you see anything interesting as far as like a solid one shot for, in particular, this defense? Because I feel like this is like the toughest defense we'll be seeing in the near future for the fleet meta.
I think the prof split is the one that you're going to end up doing.
The prof split? You mean the Leviathan split the way I'm doing?
Yeah, I just mean like the prof with Mark 6 and then the Leviathan.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's going to be the most reliable for one shots until we figure out what else does it. Because I think Fatal mentioned it at some point that there maybe resistance works. And as somebody with all R9 resistance pilots, like, I'd be more than happy to try it. I haven't been able to get it to work, but I'm not a theory crafter, and I'm terrible at fleet, so...
Yeah, I hear you. I wonder, I've heard of Endurance. I forget which versions of this Executor team the Endurance is able to fight. I don't remember if it's both or just one of them. And if that is something that I can catch up and watch some footage on, I wonder if I might set Leviathan, keeping Mark 6 for profundity. Still, not a bad idea to do.
What have we learned about Empire versus the new version? Like, how bad is it? I have yet to try it. And obviously it's not good, but like, how bad? Like, is it just like complete no go, or is it like 30%? Like, well, you know what I mean? Like, what's the?
Why don't we take a look? I'll pull it up right now.
Yeah, because I'm not saying I want to try that. I'm just saying, like, if you can get one or two ships dead.
I'm going to tell you, I actually set, so remember a test, I didn't change it, right? Mm-hmm. That tricky setup that you used against you with SAS starting and Dagger, I had that left in. Unimatrix.
Well, I guess we'll take a look at it as triple first and see what people were doing. We'll say Division 1. I guess that's all we really need to say after that. So
Tarkin, about 50, 45.
64, 60,
Okay.
about 65% on the negotiator. That's interesting. So the Empire ones look decidedly worse.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was just trying to figure out if there was a way to employ the Empire fleet in a meaningful way, because I don't like that fleet on defense.
Mm-hmm.
But I also like it just overkills the crap out of whatever the third fleet your opponent places, I guess.
Kind of cool that somebody, you know, at least a third of the time was getting it with malevolence. It's kind of neat.
I'd be more interested in. Well, so what about the Houndstooth start?
Oh,
Does that
look at this.
Chucky?
Yeah, we'll check that out in a minute. I'm just trying to see if there's anything. I haven't noticed it there. There's an endurance. So endurance doesn't seem to care for triple attack.
Also, just don't worry, people. We did a lot of show prep and
I did show prep about a bunch of other stuff, but I did more than you did.
You know what? You can eat shit.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I don't have to take that from you.
I don't have to take that from somebody who's Ezra's R8.
Damn. That, yeah. Below the belt. Okay, so yeah, better odds for endurance against Houndstooth up front. Okay. Yeah, and so people were supposedly setting...
Well, look at the 65 on 26 battles. There's even another version if you scroll down a little bit. There's another version that did okay as well. Oh, Empire's a no fucking go here. Okay.
Yeah. There's no
there's Leviathan with no Mark 6.
Yeah, your malevolence is sunk. Look at this. What is this magic? Okay, so it looks like I'm not going to be setting Houndstooth up front.
Yes, I think that is what...
Because, yeah, this should not be possible in this way.
What kind of budget bullshit is this?
I think it's something that I'm not going to be permitting. So, yeah, that's going to be a rule for week 2 here. I don't think I'm going to have Houndstooth up front. All right. Any other observations for you guys, fleet-wise, this week?
Yeah, I was gonna tell you, if you go look at my round one, remember I didn't change anything. So I was what I was going through. If you look at it, and he didn't clear this, so don't look at mine. Just look at the defense. So remember when we do the SAS with the dagger setup, SAS? I didn't change it. So look at what happened. No, watch watch the fleet. Now watch, because he did a retreat. He tried to go in.
I've got him. See the turn. You see, I'll do more turn meter gain than you, he said to himself.
And then he never cleared this fleet. So it's interesting to see doing that different setup that we were doing before, because you know what happened and everything. But watching, there was nothing.
Yeah, no, he done goofed.
That's it, right? And it held strong. So it was cool to see that this little trick setup, if you want, is a different alternative. Because if you decide to set Leviathan or whatever, or even if you don't, man, because if you look, mine's a retreat, which means he got a fresh fight and still got just beat to shit.
Wonder where his dagger was. You must have fought it, right? Because his dagger wasn't on Leviathan.
I never got in.
Yeah, you never needed to go that far. Okay.
Yeah, all right. I never won. But that was cool to see that what it would look like, man. So that option or that alternative was pretty badass.
Okay. Anything we haven't covered here, Fatal? That's Fatal, our bold fleet experimenter,
it's fleet, dude.
right?
Yeah, say it's fleet, dude.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next item here. So
I do appreciate the click the push to talk button just to intentionally snort. That's just A+ content.
Fair enough. I deserved this. This was fair.
Yeah.
All right. Next item. Any interesting...
I go hard on ground for the privilege of being able to dissociate whenever people start talking about fleets.
I respect it.
Yeah.
Such as you're right. But yes, our next item is any interesting or novel teams from either the Unaligned Force User, Faction Level 6, or Mercenary. I'm assuming nobody had any revelations with Old Republic Level 6, so I didn't even think to ask. But feel free to surprise me, guys. You got anything interesting you saw?
Yes, but not so much for these two factions. It feels like UFUs are kind of in the grade usually of they're the teams that you place that draw the teams, so the other teams get to do cool stuff.
Okay.
So,
I think it just goes into what we talked about, or what I was talking about before, right? When we were talking about all the different things we want to do with the preface of the season, we just know Ufu, and since there's so many good characters, that's usually the stronger setup.
Okay. But
it definitely does feel like the things are very set 17 heavy now compared to set 18. Right? If we're kind of in a period of de-escalation,
yeah,
set 17 is still slightly escalated, where 18 is fully de-escalated. That, yeah, most of the sauce doesn't really seem to reside in the new set for the most part.
no other. See, I didn't really see anything good either. I set Hondo the one round, dash Hondo L3, just to have it. Didn't do anything impressive. I wonder about Sortie L3 Hondo. It's not a lot more interesting, but a little bit more. And then I also wonder, you guys, I think it was you, one of you guys that was talking about Afra getting tucked in with Balin possibly, which would free up your murder droids, and I wonder about the Sortie Kron with your murder droids. I wonder if that's any kind of thing. But that's all theoretical. I didn't really see anything interesting myself either. So,
what's the Afra angle for Balin?
I didn't come up with it. I heard one of you guys say it, and that's the only reason I was thinking in that Sortie direction. But who wants to defend
Afra
that thought?
Versus Balin. The only thing I brought up was Afra versus Balin, because the cooldown increase seems kind of brutal for them. They rely pretty heavily on their opening onslaught. So if you were able to increase... That goes back to the Balin conversation of, like, if you're able to increase their cooldowns, you might be able to get one of them dead before they take a meaningful turn.
All right. Yep. Makes sense. All right. Next item, guys. Big unlocks here this week, especially if you put forth the bit of cash to have Padawan Sabine unlocked here for week 2. So you could have both Ezra Bridger Exile and Padawan Sabine. Here's the initial setup that I kind of went with for Ezra Bridger. I was watching a few content creators. I went with Speed Health. I've seen folks be north of 370 in the speed set, so admittedly, this isn't my very best effort at being as blazing fast as possible, but I tried to balance out a little with a little bit more health, right at 100,000 on the nose at Relegate, and then about 7,500 physical offense, which is not a bad at from speed set. So that's...
I mean, to be fair, his base speed is 195, so, like, if you were to put him in a speed set, he's like... I don't know if he's still a top, 10 fastest character, top 5 to 10, but there was a time not very long ago where he would have been, and when I say not very long ago, I mean, a year. So he's a very, very fast character. So putting him in a speed set's probably not the worst. Treating him like Jedi Cal is probably reasonable, at least to begin with. I went with a speed and health set as well, but I went offense primaries, not health primaries, because I'm not poor like Tass. So at R9, he has 90k health with offense primaries.
All right. Fair.
But yeah, I think you can switch a couple of primaries around if you push him to R9. Also, Tass and I had a conversation earlier about how these new characters all have relic amplifier level things within their kit to incentivize additional relics.
Yes.
Oh, Siege has been doing it for almost 2 years now. I would argue of realizing, hey, there aren't that many good tanks left to wait for people to R9. We would need to start making Relic 9 make sense for a variety of units that don't have the tank tag.
Which is why, I guess, to my everlasting shame, I do have Shin at Relic 9 for this week.
Man, I gave her Relic 9 too, and I would take it. I'm not saying take it back forever. I would postpone that shit by 2 or 3 months.
I can see why you would say it. It wasn't super duper urgent, but I kind of wanted it, and I kind of could. And I'd already gotten Balin done, so it was kind of these two are always going to be together. Treat yourself.
Yeah, and now he doesn't have
I was
one
happy
for
to see it.
Sabine or Ezra.
Yeah, I was happy to see an attacker with R9 scaling.
Mhm.
You know what really would have been neat for me? Just there's this character called Fulcrum, and I hear that a lot of people are going to be placing her R9 soon. You know what?
Soon.
Hey, she's not out for like a month, man. That due date is not here.
I know, but I was a fan of it. I know Tass had it for a while. I had R9 Fulcrum back when it, the Primus Seer. I don't have any R9s, but Fulcrum was one of my R9s I've had for a long time. But
Guy
then
with
again,
70
Dagger
R9 says he doesn't have
Dagger
any.
already talked shit to you about it, but it's like I still dig what Fulcrum could do. Her damage was cool, so it's like I R9'd her a long time ago.
I R9'd her before on my old. Well, on my alt I R9'd her well before she was a GL requirement.
Right.
Okay, you
She
guys,
was just
you're
lower on the
both
price.
really super cool.
Actually-
we all
No,
understand.
no, I'm telling
we all
Fatal- I'm
understand
telling- no.
that you had it before it was cool with the other kids.
No, Tass, I need you to calm down. I'm trying to let Fatal know that you will get value out of your R9 Fulcrum, no matter when you do it.
Yeah, I really dig her. Like I said, I've had her like that. And the only reason I say it's a big deal for me is unlike Dagger with his alternate account or Tass who can free nilly spend on every R9 and stuff like that. I'm a thrifty whale, so my numbers are nowhere near everybody else's. I'm not in the 15 million club or anything like that. I have minimal R9s, and she's one of mine. So that's the only thing I'm saying. Just like Tass talked about, what do you do with Padawan Sabine? I don't know. She's still 6-star for me. But if you go look at my Ezra, he's R8. So
to be clear, TJ's talking about he has minimal R9s sitting there with like 7.
Yeah, just bare bones Jones. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But by the way, while we were talking about Ezra, though, so yeah, Dagger, you shared your take on how you might do something slightly different, primary-wise, from these set types.
Also, I told you this before. I like defense set.
So did I, and that's what I was originally thinking as well. But I'm more constrained on those than the health sets. So here we are. What about the rest of you, though? Any other takes on the modding? I don't know if this might be dipping into your secret sauce with some nefarious plan you have, Fatal, but feel free to tell me if you guys have any restrictions.
I don't really do proprietary shit unless I think it's just going to create a cool, enjoyable moment, meaning like I'll talk about it in 2 or 3 days. No, I think offense is not necessarily a trap, but it's like his fourth most important stat. So Ezra, when you actually like look at his kit and everything he does, there are like 2 main things that his kit isn't built to deal with. The first is stuff like crits or I guess technically like percent health ignoring. But the big thing that worries me is like what Jedi stun flying around right now. I think a very common thing to try to deal with him is going to be shit like stun locking him, right? Like I think there's going to be a period where Rey Ezra catches a lot of people who weren't prepared by surprise, and there's going to be a period of adjustment. And so I think in the meantime, like I don't know how appropriately costed or not this is, but I think that's something like JML with Jedi stun could probably, because like JML versus Rey in 3v3 has historically been kind of spotty, just because that rail hits different in 3v3.
Yeah.
But Jedi Cal with the offense reduction, if you park in that stance during the rails, can kind of get you through it. You fall back on old JML trappings. You got your GMY shielding that you can fire up during rails as well. There are ways to get through it, and Ezra is not equipped to deal with set 17 with all the stun lock spam from Jedi right now. That, as good as this character is, because I will tell you right now, my current knee-jerk day 0 reaction is I think this is the best Conquest character we've gotten. He does not have a solution for somebody saying, I don't allow you to play the video game. And so I think speed is his most important stat. And then, I think bulk probably comes in second of just like trying to buy him more time. And then,
honestly, I haven't. To your point though, Fatal, I haven't felt this energized by a Conquest unit since Malicos.
I legitimately think he's stronger than Cat. It's close, because Cat is just like a bundle of really good stats and then a win con on top. But this character genuinely just does it all. Is incredibly fun to play. That and most critically, like, is fairly plug and play, even though it's not entirely true. But like, not man, he's kind of just down. He is very much a Commander Tano or a C3PO of. You can just chuck him in with a lot of stuff, and they will broadly usually be interested in some of what he's picking up and putting down, if not all of it.
So you're telling me that Cat, Ezra, Vandor is going to be a Ray team in 5s?
The problem with here, Ray Cat is cursed by Starkiller, unironically, which I guess Ezra adds foresight, so maybe it's less cursed. But honestly, I oh shit, I don't have the modding in this week. Damn it. I think
no.
Well, I pulled the plug on Hot Details at the last second because the automate was stuck for some reason. I was actually planning to run Starkiller against Ray Ezra this week, with the caveat being that you need to sandbag your Mara speed. Because if you run like ye olde standard Mara modding and you ram your face into AoE foresight, it's not going to be good for you. But I have run fast Starkiller in the past, and I haven't done Mara under Starkiller in the past, but I think that conceptually works here, where if you get your Starkiller high enough to be competent to, get that unavoidable AoE out, you clear the way for Mara to then just play like normal Mara Starkiller, I think you might have a stay there.
Mm-hmm. Well, hopefully we'll hear what you think about that next week.
Yeah, ideally.
yeah. All right, let's see here. So we seem to have an agreement, at least where we're starting out with Ezra. Of course, all of this subject to when the Ahsoka kit actually comes out, which I think we are some weeks away from yet. So
my guess is second week. Remember the CG fucks off like the third week of December, somewhere between the second and third week of December. So I expect Ahsoka before then. Probably first, second week of December.
Yep,
would be my guess.
Okay, all right, dig that. All right, and now talking about Padawan Sabine. So I did take her up to Relic 8. Just over 300 speed, offense, crit chance sets. I did put her in a potency primary cross with a crazy 6% plus percent offense on it. So crit damage triangle. So yeah, we're just under 110% potency, just over 10k offense, 93% crit chance.
For having a crit chance set on her, you really have dog shit crit chance added.
I appreciate you. Thank you. Yes, I don't think she really needs some of the better ones, but I take your point.
No. I'm amused by you have like 3.2% additional crit chance outside.
I'm amused that you're talking shit as a Chromium player. Yeah.
I am in Chromium, the same as you.
Chromium League.
He's referring to where you sit, sir, not your guild.
You disgust me. But anyways, guys, I don't know that I necessarily have plans for her, but this just seemed like a reasonable initial setup. How about you guys? At first, in terms of setup, and then application plans, if any.
I have her in a potency small set. I don't have a potency cross, but I do have her like at 90-something%. High 90s in potency just with secondaries. I also have her on 105% crit chance, which I think is like reasonable. I also have mine at R9, so that's like an extra like 3%, 4% crit chance than where you're at. Well, I'm just saying I'm getting some of the stats from the relic is the point I'm trying to make. So yeah, I'm around a 98% potency, 105% crit chance, 10-5 offense, looks like. A little under 10-5 off.
Dig it.
And then I have a health cross on her.
Ooh, yeah. Really nice. Really nice. That's a good get.
Yeah. I just really feel like most attackers want health crosses now more than offense crosses, because as you push relics higher, health just matters so much more than offense, it feels. Especially when you get 4 to 6% offense on your health cross. And so many of these, like, I know I was talking with Tess earlier about these attackers just feel so flimsy. Where if you can just get that extra bulk on them, they feel a lot less flimsy.
I can see that. Maybe the potency won't be as good. We'll see. How about you guys? Fatal TJ, any divergent thoughts on the initial setup?
She is 6-star. I will get her
A lot of
unlocked.
good you are, man.
I just there. What am I going to use her for? Is my problem. And I've watched some of the testing and stuff like that. Oh, don't get me wrong. She's going to be an easy RA candidate. I'm not pulling that away because obviously it's built in. We talked about it, but I think when we talked about the roundup of what's happening, I see application today for Ezra. I don't need to have my GL Ahsoka there. Ezra has
that.
use. That's where it's like Fatal calling out is like, this guy has legs. He has a really well built kit, and there's places to use him and what he's going to do. She will have legs, but I can't see immediate application. So if I can't see that, I'll get her 7-star and I'll have everything set up for it. But it's like right now, I couldn't see where to put it.
All right. Yeah, I know.
I'm about 75. I'm about 75k health, by the way.
Yeah, that looks great. I'm sure that. Well, yeah, with the Relic 9, especially. I mean, if you're going to Relic 9, I think that cross is a really strong case to go for a potency 2 set. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, it's mostly just her health pool is so small, and she is so squishy. Like, I just tried her with BKM in Arena once. She got one shot. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, for all the good the counter chance does you.
Yeah.
Very
like
good.
Boosh, for example, is another good example of someone with, like, small bulk that you definitely wouldn't mind. Anyways, that you don't need to go on and on, but yeah.
No worries. All right. Well, if that's all we had to say on those two, that'll wrap up our meta-analysis here. Let's go ahead and talk about favorite attack and defense of the week. For my part, let me pull up my round 1 here with Dr. Payton. So this is the one I'd like to highlight. Actually, you know what, guys? Let me do you one better. Let me take you back. Take you back to the start of the one legitimate round of combat this entire week. And you all know the love and care and attention that goes into my Afra. I went in with a set 18 Kron that had, I want to say, high crit damage on it. I could have maybe tested my luck with a higher defense something. I don't know, set 17. But I don't know. I don't think it mattered much, and I think you'll understand why here in a moment. Okay. Just real casual.
No cooldown increase on boost sucks.
Yep. Wasn't great, but guess what? That's not what's going to kill us. All right, so now we're up to 5. Nothing to see here. Don't worry. And yes, that is a light side max health damage level 3.
You've got defense down and crit damage up. I play Knights as this motherfucker.
Now, this happens immediately after I use the move to revive BT1. So it's like, yes, well, good. And so that is how that came to an end. And I wonder about how often I'll be using Afra versus Jabba this season. So, yeah. That was my favorite attack for sure, because I learned a very valuable lesson. Now, looking at defenses, very pleased to see. I figured that Spirit would be the most punishing to put in against JMK in particular. Obviously, sample size of 1, but it took him just over 2 minutes to get bopped out. So, I'm into it.
I think Spirit is probably one of the better thirds. I mean, I don't know what the better statistically what the best is, but she has so much damage packed in that, especially against like JMK, like the way that the protection up works, and Phalo can correct me if I'm wrong, but if you hit through the protection up, it still will register a crit. Right? You can't crit with a protection up, but Spirit hits hard enough that her non-crit will take off the protection up. And again, Phalo can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe if that happens, it can then still crit. So
I don't have memory from this direct matchup. I know if we take a time machine back, I'm pretty sure that was true of Padme lead dynamics way back in the day, like Darth Vader type shit. I remember that being true. Or I think it was it was a clash with the Nest counter against Padme. It was true where if Nest just ramped enough that she was able to whack through the protection, that it would still count as a crit. Yeah, I believe that's true.
Yeah, so having Spirit there against JMK is just so much damage because of that.
Yep. So I'm glad to see that was a good choice. And you're right. Like as far as options go, last season we were doing DTP because that was anti the turn meter slacker with set 16 Datacron. So didn't really see much need to run that. Yeah, that's about it though for me. Dagger, I don't think you probably have anything too interesting that you did, but anything that you saw that you want to comment on?
My favorite defense of the week was that I didn't have to play GAC. It was a nice week off. My favorite attack would be Task still doesn't have Sabine or Ezra R9.
That is a good attack. Wow, that is the critical hit. It was greatly effective.
Yeah, that's all I got.
All right, very good, very good. TJ, how about you? Favorite attack?
Which attack round 2 was cool to see. QA still handles Leia, and so that was a cool one. I got to try things out, and since QA still on attack, I was like, let me just try this. I wanted to see what it was going to do.
Let's take a look at their cron, because you would think that the better, at least I would think, the better default option to go with this would be a set 17 turn meter light side with probably defense. I don't know.
I'd still be willing to try this again, only because it felt good for control.
Okay.
And this is me just fumbling around playing with the fight, but as you see, full banners. I had still plenty of time in the fight to work it around. So once I started making adjustments,
how fast was Drogon dead?
I focused him down, and he was first one dead. So I want to say probably a minute and a half out of the full fight.
Okay, see, that's the real question, because if Drogon hangs on, like there have been times where I kill Leia first, and then I lose a character or two because Drogon still sticks around.
So he was around for what I felt was longer than possible. I was playing again. This is me fumbling around, right? And then this is also to Tass's point, probably not the best cron. He got to do 2 moves, but I would say he didn't go after Padawan, if I remember right, because everybody obviously. But did you see my point? So there was still movement, and I would still call that in there. But basically, a minute and a half, I had Drogon dead first because of the hit, right? I think it was like one big hit, and that dude was out. But I'm also having the stun set up with the 2 Jedi, so I'm controlling the fight as well, where I wanted to stop them from doing stuff. So it's taking the same concept of like SLK. Same regard, and I saw what he did, and I'll tell you where I screwed up. If you look at my fail with JMK. And I'll go to my defense, which I wanted to talk about next. But for also a good one to note for the defense portion of where I screwed up, Tass on JMK, I did the insta kill, not paying attention onto Morgan.
So you deserved it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not mad about it because again, this week was just a week of shit. So it's like that's cool. But what I want you to do for me, because I know this is supposed to be the go-to counter, go to my round 1 with Unimatrix. And go to my setup with the sisters.
Yep. So
everybody says this is the combo, right? But look at the fail out that happened. And notice everybody's doing and what you said, right? Because in my opinion, and what I want to try next is I want to try Gideon back against Jabba again. I feel like with the 3 in there, that's going to be a great Jabba killer because I think Jabba's going to be what we're going to see. So
I thought somebody wiped out on Fatal's Jabba using DTMG Gideon, and I was gobsmacked because that was rock solid last season.
But this is what I wanted to call out.
I think the Gideon level 9, so he doesn't loop his ability anymore.
It was still working after that.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, but that's what I want to try again.
In
but this
5s
is the
or in 3s?
In 3s, I think. I want to say.
It was fixed it for 5s, and it still worked in 5s because you had enough damage.
Oh, is that true? So it was bugged the whole life of 3s, last 3s? Okay, never mind.
I believe that's accurate.
Round 3 of 3s, I believe, last time it was corrected, and it was a scary fight, but I want to try it again. But that's also set 16 Datacron, and we don't have that now. So, but either way, what I wanted to call out for this is at the top, we know the go-to right now is the SLKR with the Marin and the zombie. That's like the known. Look at the fail out. And what I'm calling out for this is I think with the DP in there, I think that has a pretty good factor to do something with it. So that was what I thought was interesting for my fight, is because the go-to was supposed to be SLKR, and SLKR got held up pretty well.
Yeah,
So,
for
Also
sure.
worth mentioning. C timed out. You go back down really quick.
Yeah.
If you took a better C team, I wonder if that might be doable.
would it now? I would hazard to say that maybe the DTP setup. I don't know how it does against Spirit, because that amount of
I don't think
damage.
it'd be Spirit. Yeah. Spirit
Yeah,
probably doesn't beat.
yeah, but it was just cool to see, right? Because the one I know of, and I know we're practicing it at all over the
What's
places, the SLKR. But seeing SLKR with Marin and Zombie with the zombie setup,
Yeah.
fail out.
Great Mother's Cron?
What's that?
What's the Great Mother's Cron here?
Mine is nothing fancy
No.
at all.
The one. Oh, gotcha.
No, this is
nothing crazy.
no. So this goes back to what Tass and I talked about, where we're building up tenacity. So I was picking up tenacity everywhere I could because of. But the offense wise and everything else, no, I don't have none of the goods. It's just
So I think if you find a Knights, like I'm just trying to reverse engineer the C team because it timed out. So if you take another damage dealer or something that is a net positive, or maybe not even set, because I've had C fights where it takes too long because the sides actually take turns.
So my concern, if you don't take the dark side tank, is they've got free reign to fuck you up. So unless you're telling me like take a crew or something else, which I don't know what crew's going to do. If you're not taking some kind of dark side tank or something else, you're giving them free reign to just eat your team up.
Well, I'm thinking like C Watt, right?
I honestly would still think they would eat your team up. That's just my personal thought. Amount of damage.
Fair.
But I know why you're trying to say, right? You're trying to
Well, your Cronin team lack a lot of the punch we were talking about. So I'm saying in these cases where your opponent doesn't have a ton of offense on the Cron and is DTP and not Spirit.
Yeah, I think it's a good call, but that was just an interesting thought, because I would like to see what the Spirit looks like with the SLK setup with Marin and Zombie, and then with DTP, right? Because then we get into the tendencies we talked about as far as Tash. You go to your opponent, and your opponent's always got it set for SLK this and that. Well, I'll put Sisters in the back. You're going to save your SLK, and then you're going to try it against DTP, and you're going to get wiped. And then what are you going to do, right? So it's just those things that's interesting to see. No mechanics other than fighting who I fought one time, and then just getting to see something that I thought was pretty cool. So that's why it was a favorite of mine for the defense.
Very fair. Okay. Fatal, how about you? Your favorite attack and defense of the week? Where you want me to go?
Honestly, there's a lot of stuff I could touch on that I didn't end up putting in meta analysis.
Please, let's have it.
I guess I'll just go round by round and like rapid fire ping pong between them.
Sure.
So at the top, Nice Scissor versus Jabba feels very good right now. I also have a Nice Scissor versus Jabba on defense side of this round that I stonewalled, because the thing that is good for Nice Scissors right now is also very good for Jabba. It's not like a god tenacity cron, but I have like a 90%-ish tenacity cron with Darkside regen on resist, and it's like somewhere halfway down. Yeah, just a full stone wall, full health Jabba. It's not even an R9 Jabba or anything. Just yeah, you do the legwork, and I mean, I'm kind of shocked because like kind of the running course of my match history, and it seems like a lot of people just aren't really doing this counter that much. If you are interested in this counter, I think you play both ends. Yeah, I think you run Tenacity Jabba, Tenacity Cron, regen and resist. And then for the Night Sister side, I think you have to either bring a Tenacity or Potency Cron to do some level of subsidization. The regen and resist has always been god tier for this counter because you built a Tenacity Marin. No one else is built for a Tenacity, so this is Marin-specific regen because the person that you want to stay alive gets regen, everybody else can go fuck. It's, pretty much exactly where you want it to be. But, like, nobody's really using it against me. I hear that a lot of other people aren't seeing Night Scissors get used, so this seems like an opportunity to rack some pretty free wins as long as you do your due diligence. I mean, every Night Sister fight this week was pretty much textbook, I want to say. I fought one, like, mostly Tenacity Jabba, but I think he still went down because he did not go regen or resist. Balin versus, or well, no, Malgus versus Balin. I did not get to work on this more, but I did have someone else in my Discord who pretty easily got Shin and Merrick down, trying it on their own. So I think the rest of resolving this counter is just going to be, I don't think you can leave it to Balin last standing. I think you kill Merrick first to get rid of the regen. I think you work on Balin next while you're keeping the Fear Infinite loop, and I think you probably have to race out Shin before she tries to kill all your characters being at 1 health. But I think she uses her smoke screen first, so she doesn't do a damaging move. So you're probably okay.
Yep.
But yeah, I think there's legs here. Leia Pow did pretty well for me. I had some pretty convincing holds throughout the week. Held to SLK Malicos, held to Inquisitors with no deaths, not even to death mark or anything, which you take those pretty happily. I did some goofy stuff in match 2 and match 3. I posted Ray with gas and got a hold against Malicos, which is, I don't know. I don't know anything about Malicos at offense, but that was amusing. Yeah, no crits allowed, no fun.
Yeah, usually it's kind of underwhelming without either Starkiller or Maul or at least crew to shield, Malicos. So I'm not surprised this lost, I guess.
Okay, yeah, I believe that. I buy that. Match 3, again, kind of just leaning into my scammier side. This Ray team is
See, this is what your round 1 opponent used to clean up your Leia, and then this guy opens up using Reva at the start of round 1 and just eats it.
Reva for no deaths in a matchup where you're supposed to be, or expecting to be drowning in Deathmark is, this is why I like cutting R2 so often, is because R2 causes so many Deathmarks that I really, again, my ethos is no free rides, and that's not to say that Inquisitors probably can't do something against my team, but my POW is like speedless, 3 defense set, 4 protection primary. You want this character, come fucking earn him. Like, yeah. Again, just trying to be as hostile as I can be. Saw Gerrera, I think, is going to be my biggest shout out of the week. That, I was pretty mid on his cron, and I got to experience some of the heat on offense, just messing around with him.
Yeah, let's see.
I don't know, man. It's again, we're kind of in a de-escalation period, so something that comes off as mid. I mean, I still expect that he'll probably just like melt to Treya, but yeah, I posted Saw Crex. That protection disruption causes a lot of problems, and he's hitting the slot exactly where I want him to, where, hey, you've taken some losses, you're feeling a little bit fatigued, you're down to back wall, you're trying to close out, and he is just deeply unpleasant, especially when alongside, you got your Tuscan usual bullshit. I don't know. Honestly, I'm just very high in the week in general. I think I really rather love my defense right now, and Ezra's only going to make it better. It's just a good mix of villains to draw attention and then healthy B teams to fuck you up for either drawing too much attention or making a mistake somewhere. That, yeah, man. I mean, the worst I can say right now is like LV Malicos is like 66% to not stop BKM, and that's like the worst case scenario. So I'm happy.
Nice. All right. Well, Sasha was kind enough to send us some notes here, so let me just read that off. He was saying, hey, folks, here are my notes. I only had one real match, but it was a fun bloodbath versus Aesop where banners were bled and lessons were learned. We both fully cleared, barely, and I lost on banners. My favorite attack. For the first time ever, I'm going to cite a fleet battle here. Aesop, may he rot in hell, set both Leviathan and Executor on D against me. I set my own Executor, so I had Leviathan and Profundity to play with. For those of you that don't know this already, I hate fleets, so the prospect of having to take those 2 down was so unpleasant that I didn't intend to even attack them until I saw that Aesop may have been stuck and kept from clearing himself. Spoiler, he did eventually clear. Anyway, Leviathan versus Executor and Profundity versus Leviathan each worked nicely, and I'll willingly admit that I hated fleets just a little less that day. Side note, CLS, Han, and Chewie felt good in the moment as it tore up Aesop's Hondo on defense. But once the battle ended, I felt pretty bummed not to see better defensive viability from Hondo. Same thing with my Seer, Malicos Maul versus his Balin squad. Each counter worked well enough to leave me disappointed in the defensive squads. My favorite defense, 3 vs 3 Tuscans, is still very much a thing. I set mine back wall and they almost prevented a full clear. To Aesop's credit, he was able to eventually snipe out Chieftain and get a 4-shot against the depleted squad, but set 18 Darkside Thick Crons fit nicely with the Tuscans. Side note, I tried setting Dengar with Lord Vader and Royal Guard, but it was still beaten down by Aesop's BKM, making me a sad panda. So, now is a good enough time for us to turn towards talking about wrapping up here, the takeaways and final thoughts. I will kick us off here with Sasha's comments. As I mentioned above, I'm not so sure about Balin on defense. It feels like this meta has enough other viable defensive options that he may be more efficiently deployed on offense. I hate doing that in the first month of a new squad like that, so I may not do it myself, but the logic is apparent. In the Swugga equivalent of Where's Waldo, I was looking forward to seeing how everyone would place Dengar. In my one match this week, I think Aesop played Where's Dengar pretty well by placing him with Darth Revan and Malik. I used BKM to one-shot it, but it was a bit sketchy, and I don't think I could have gone much cheaper. As mentioned above, I threw Dengar with Lord Vader and Royal Guard and got the same BKM trade. Looking forward to playing Where's Ezra? Just kidding, I know he's with Rey this week. Just a question of who's chaperoning Rey and Ezra. Really? So is he possibly thinking about not having Ben Solo there? To some profitable use? Interesting. Sorry to miss today's recording, but I look forward to rejoining next week. Tass, I actually like your hat. Dagger, don't be afraid to tell Tass how you really feel. TJ, looking forward to hearing about your testing in round 2. And Fatal, whatever you end up doing with Ezra on D this week, please remember that each one of your opponents has a family.
That is the end of that is just chef's just fantastic. I love you, Sasha. You are a wonderful human being.
That's a good one. That is indeed a good one.
He is the best of us.
Quite literally, yeah. He is top of the heap.
Yeah. That was the reason for saying it.
Yeah. Well, hey, since you're already yapping anyway, how about your takeaways and final thoughts here going into week 2?
Yeah, I'll just say that I am slightly pleased to see Dengar not lighting the world on fire. I am also sad to not see Dengar light the world on fire because I would like CD to stop fucking making this L9 for random tunes because it's toxic. And I look forward to curb stomping some toddlers for a couple of weeks in 3s and maybe getting something out of it besides just boredom.
All right.
Also, Task, your hat sucks.
Oh, I thought I was just about to get by without it. But there it is. There it is. All right. You checked the box. Very good. TJ, your takeaways and final thoughts going into week 2.
Well, hopefully I get to actually play. It'd be nice to actually do it. I think the other key one will be how and what does Ezra do? I know Fatal's very high on him, and I do think there's a lot of use of what he's going to do and where he's going to end up. I can see him in multiple places. So that's kind of like question 1, and then getting to look at the data to see how we can upset some of the things like we talked about with the mothers, even the ships, and then obviously there's things I want to try. I expect it'll be Ezra with Rey for a majority. I'm most likely going to be trying that as just it's easy. We know it's going to go there. We know it has legs type thing. And then I want to know, does Starkiller beat that, right? Because I think the Starkiller Kron feels very good. And the little things I got to do, I was like, let me see how it works with the setup. And I felt pretty strong walking in with the level 9. It felt pretty damn solid. Mm-hmm. Other than that, I think we get to see what it's going to look like. I think there's going to be some good shakeups, though, based on the data.
All right. For my part, I'm thinking about just trying to have a couple of my staple defenses are probably getting torn up. Like Trench, I wasn't super impressed with. I only had the one round, but Trench, Django, Watt didn't look that great as a defense, so I'm reconsidering keeping it. I mean, you couldn't go back to Trench, Dooku, Watt, which was previously the go-to for 3 versus 3. But even then, I'm still thinking about it. So really a high work week for me scouting-wise. I'm really going to be paying attention to how my opponents attacked and just trying to set up something nasty on the bottom front wall. And I think like Fatal, I'll just try and have, challenge teams up front with, just tricky, lesser teams behind it. I don't know that there's a ton of value trying to tuck a big surprise in the back wall. So, I don't know. But that's kind of what occurs to me. And Fatal, how about you? Your takeaways, final thoughts, last thought for the people.
This season I think is really. I already like 3 or 4 weeks ago said I think this is going to be a banger season, and then I would say it's almost delivering even more so than my expectations were. Like I'll always say this. I know I was historically around a top 20 player, and then I'm like fucking around in rank 200, and I know I have advantages in some or many ways that I know I have a combat advantage that makes me somewhat privileged, or of course you would think that way type shit. But no, man, it's just been like the defense is chugging on all cylinders. You can see the fatigue at work. The ideas are working. The offense side is where I'm woefully just not able to put any energy right now because of very full plates. But then even even just winging on the fly and then coming across oh man, I ran my face into Malgus versus Balin. Wait, this is actually a thing that could work. Or, I think Zori versus Gungan seems interesting. I want to refine the Reva Leia duel. It's just a lot of good stuff going on that, I think it's just a real joy of a season, and I really want to soak it up because I think 5v5 will probably not be as dynamic, shall we say. And then, kind of responding to Sasha's writing, I think Sasha is largely correct. I think I don't really have a sense because I'm living kind of under a rock for the last week of what people think about Ezra, just the broader community. So there's 2 or 3 things happening right now where it's A, I don't know how good the average player thinks Ezra is. B, I think if you think Ezra is good, I do think that there's sort of a gold rush opportunity to solve for the third under Ray Ezra right now. And I did a roster scroll, and I've got a list of 6 or 7 people, and none of them I would say are killing it. That I think it's still an open question. If you just send Ben there, it's probably fine. You're not gonna hate life or anything. And the room for improvement isn't insanely high past that with the candidates, but I think it's still going to be an interesting moment of just seeing what people are able to cook up as we all try to pretend we know what the hell we're doing in this game. But then the third thing is I have been very strong and forward on Ezra so far, and I think if I carry that thought through to his conclusion, I'm a little bit scared for him that I think if he's too good, he will inherently look bad because he's just going to get the wrath of God brought down on him. If he looks good, people are just going to, bring down the hammer and stop him from playing the game, and they'll be like, oh, this unit doesn't do anything.
For sure.
Yeah, but don't run a Jedi Stun Chrono and see how little he does after all, type shit. But, yeah, man, a lot of cool stuff to do, a lot of fun stuff to try. I'm looking forward to it.
All right.
Twitch.tv/PlaybookTV.
Beat me to it. Yeah. All right, so that's where you can find Fatal live. And, for my part, I'll go ahead and get ready to wrap us up here, folks. But, yeah, if you want to catch me live, that's twitch.tv/Tassinix. I only have 2 Erodium accounts in my bracket this week, so odds are I'm going to have at least 2 real rounds. Looking forward to seeing you all over there. Of course, if you're a regular fan of the show, Plotting and Scheming is hosted on Spotify, also repeated out to YouTube Podcasts / Google Podcasts, and it's also on YouTube itself, my YouTube channel, Tassinix Gaming, where I also host some other Swugger-related content that I think you'll be interested in. We've got Datacron set reviews, currently out for sets 17 and 18. I make those with Aesop Rock, the #1 player in Grand Arena. Also have my mod guide videos on individual characters and factions that you guys, my community, have requested. Also, just the other day, I put out my very first stab at a Grand Arena Omicron tier list, since there was quite a bit of request and interest around that, so that's also up there. Let's see, am I missing anything? Yeah, I mean, Plotting and Scheming is also up there. But yeah, oh yeah, of course, my previous VODs from, my last streams uploaded in full length with chapters added. So all that's there on YouTube. And of course, if you like what you're seeing here and you want to support the channel, I did create a Cash App at you guys' request that is $Tassinix. Otherwise, if you want to get something back, help raise your scouting game, and join my community, get some, some benefits back for that, you got to check out my Patreon. Well, first we got to put up the right slide. All right, that's all right. Patreon.com/Tassinix. For any upwardly mobile Grand Arena player, there is something there of interest to you. $5 a month gets you into the Tass House at VIP access, where you do get early access to the Plotting and Scheming podcast that comes out publicly on Fridays, but my patrons get it as early as Tuesday night, depending on, how cooperative YouTube is when I go to upload it. But yeah, usually within hours of recording. Also get early access to the Datacron set review videos, a dedicated text and voice channel on Discord where you can usually find me lurking, so if you want to pop in, pick my brain, say hi, stop on by. But thank you so much to Andrew, Arj, Deadpool Cow 28, JJ's Productions Twitch, Jobin4527, Johnny B. Ottawa, Miasmal, Ray's Malbus, Sam Vimes, Squed, Stark Strategy Gamer, Sweens 14, White Wolf, and Zoltre. Moving on up to the $10 a month tier, VIP Access Plus. This is a bundled patron membership to me and to OmegaBot. So if you watch my streams at the very beginning, I always show a scouting report from OmegaBot. Gives you an amazing time-saving, at-a-glance understanding of your opponent's offensive and defensive tendencies. The bonus of being a patron to OmegaBot is you can pull greater than the last 2 weeks of history and get a downloadable HTML report with links having integrations right into swugga.gg, so you can get right into the details of specific teams your opponents like to use or set and how you might counter that. Thank you so much to Stryker, Esh Satnikam, and Dobby for taking that offer. And moving up to VIP Access Premium, this is $15 a month, the Double Bot Bundle. So Patreon access to myself, to OmegaBot, and to Hot Utils, which is the premier tool for your mass mod management, loadouts. You can just switch your entire roster around with a couple clicks depending on which mode, which mode of the game you're in. But saves you a lot of time, a lot of energy. I think, Fatal and TJ still use it to remod their entire rosters for Grand Arena, to say nothing of all the, TW functionality built into it. So thank you so much to Duckstab, Darkhug, Ibanek, General Milan, Sir Boss, Quig, and Wilco. And of course, at the top of the heap, in Jester's Club Elite, the one, the only Nomad's Reaper, my #1 supporter over the years, has popped into streams from time to time and will drop hundreds of subs, thousands of biddies, extraordinary generosity over the years. Thank you so much, my man. And of course, our special thanks. First up, to Yoda Force, one of my original supporters way back in the day, got me the microphone I'm speaking to you on right now, and even though he's long since quit the game, we remember him fondly from the other side. To Mrs. T, my wife, thank you for your good works in the background, keeping our increasingly growing, ever-destructive child from utterly destroying the home whenever I'm attempting to be halfway decent at a phone game. So thank you so much for running that interference. And of course, to my co-hosts here on Plotting and Scheming, Dagger, TJ, Sasha Aisha, and Fatal. As always, gentlemen, it is a pleasure and a privilege to record our show every week together. I learn things, you learn things, the community learns things, everybody's a winner. So thank you for being part of this successful recipe, and I wouldn't change a thing. All right, coming back over to the main scene. What's that, Dagger?
On behalf of all of us, I said on behalf of all of us here, know you.
Yes, very good, very good, very good. Well, that does wrap us up. You've all survived week 1, the debut week of Set 18. Hopefully you have some refinements, lessons learned of your own to apply, and hopefully we've given you some other things to chew on. But we'll see you here, same bat time, same bat channel, to go over week 2. And until then, it's been real. It's been awesome. It's been real awesome. Take care.